Can you live edit code while debugging in Versus Code? Have you ever wondered if you can change your code while debugging in Visual Studio Code? Well, you are in for a treat because the answer is yes. Visual Studio Code allows you to live edit your code during a debugging session. This means you can make changes to your source files and see the effects right away without needing to restart your entire application. Let's break down how this works. When you start a debug session in Visual Studio Code, you can directly edit your code files. This feature is especially handy for languages like JavaScript, TypeScript, and Node.js. For these languages, changes can often be applied immediately or after a quick reload. This allows you to test fixes or adjust your logic on the fly, making your debugging process much smoother. Now, let's talk about some specific features that make live editing possible. Many runtimes and languages supported by Visual Studio Code offer what is known as hot reload or edit and continue. These features allow the debugger to apply code changes dynamically. For example, if you are developing in C# using the C# extension, you can modify your code while paused at a breakpoint and continue running with the updated code. This is a fantastic way to see how your changes affect the application without losing your place in the debugging process. However, it is important to note that live editing capabilities can vary depending on the language and the debugger extension you are using. While JavaScript and Node.js have robust support for live editing, other languages like C++, Python, or PHP may not support full hot reload. It is always a good idea to check the documentation for your specific debugger extension to understand what live edit features are available. Visual Studio Code also supports multi-target debugging. This means you can debug multiple processes at the same time and make live edits in any of them. Additionally, remote debugging is possible, especially with Node.js. This allows you to make live edits on code that is running on remote machines as long as the debugger supports it. If you are working with a team, Visual Studio Live Share is a fantastic tool for collaborative live editing and debugging. This feature allows multiple developers to edit and debug the same codebase in real time. It can be especially useful for pair debugging or troubleshooting as a team. To make the most of live editing while debugging in Visual Studio Code, here are some practical tips. First, use breakpoints to pause execution, which allows you to safely edit your code before continuing. Familiarize yourself with your language's debugger extension capabilities regarding hot reload or edit and continue. Remember to save your files after editing to trigger the debugger to pick up the changes. For complex applications, consider using multi-target debugging to isolate and live edit specific components. Lastly, use Live Share for collaborative debugging sessions to receive real-time feedback and assistance. In summary, Visual Studio Code enables live code editing during debugging for many languages and runtimes. This feature can significantly improve your ability to identify and fix bugs quickly, making your software debugging workflow more efficient.